Welcome to the Business Focus podcast. Before we start, can we ask one thing? 74% of you that watch this channel frequently do not subscribe. If you've enjoyed our videos, please could you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps this channel more than you know, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the learning gets. Welcome to the Business Focus podcast. Jonathan Herbst is the host of the Business Focus podcast. He is a strategic advisor, coach, and mentor to entrepreneurial business owners, CEOs, and senior executives. In this podcast, he chats with entrepreneurs, founders, and CEOs of scaling companies. It centers around their entrepreneurial journey so far and their aspirations for their companies.
Hi there, welcome again. It's my great pleasure today to interview Charlie Hart, who's Managing Director at Hart Rural Agencies. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Jonathan.
Where are we talking? Where are you today? Where am I speaking to?
Well, I'm Barraba, so I'm actually just to get out of the office environment today at lunchtime. I have come home to do this Zoom call, which is 5 k's out of town. My office is in town. My main office is in town. I've got a couple of offices in Manila as well, but I work out of Barraba and I'm at home at present.
Okay, so Barraba is where?
Northwestern New South Wales. So we're 100 kilometres northwest of Tamworth. Okay. So we're right in the area that's called the Northwest Slopes and Plains. Mm-hmm. So Barraba is 50 k's on the eastern side of Mount Caputar. So it's undulating creek and river country, predominantly cattle grazing.
I know the area. Many years ago, I was an armoured reconnaissance officer in the Australian Army. Did some work with the Hunter River Lancers, so I've got an idea where you are.
Yeah, that's right. They've got a base in Tamworth.
Yep, that's right. So, and isn't it an interesting technology? I actually we have a house down at St George's Basin, so I'm away from home as well. So, and we were talking. Charlie is talking to us via Skylink, the Elon Musk internet service, satellite service. So it's how it's changed lives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really reliable until, funny enough, this morning it was off for a couple of hours. But apart from that, since the day I've had it, I really hasn't fallen out at all. So it was obviously an upgrade or something going on there today. But anyway, that's an improvement I want to make.
Let's hope it sticks with us. So listen, Charlie, tell me, what do you do? How long have you been doing it? Yeah, a little bit about your background, please.
Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. So I run an agribusiness, which is essentially a stock and station agency, which has been diversified to accommodate the requirements of our clients. So basically, we're Hart Rural Agencies is a livestock, property, and merchandise business that has also diversified into some other areas. So we have a contract farming business attached to it. We deliver pellets. We've got a pellet delivery truck. We've got a yard or a livestock yard building manufacturing works in Manila, so called M&M Stockyard. So we've basically diversified across our client base, and I'm the managing director of the company. I've got a management team under me, about 6 others, and we run about 36 staff most of the time. So so we're predominantly, I'd love to say I manage this thing all the time, but I don't. I'm a salesperson, so I'm out selling property. And as soon as I leave here, I'm out weighing and selling cattle. So I rely on those 6 management staff to help me manage the business, basically.
Excellent. And so, tell me, who's your best customer? Who's your ideal client? We've got these documented. So basically, our best client would be a large cattle breeder. So the likes of a 5, 6, 7,000 acre property here, which would be a good sized property. They run 600, 700 cows. We help them with their breeding. We help them with their marketing of their livestock. We help them with their agronomy, and we also provide all our goods and services, which would be from stockyards right through to drench to vaccine to farming their crops for them. So our ideal client is a large cattle grazer. And in what area?
Pretty much within the Bingara, Barraba, and Manila area. So there's three towns there that are about 50 kilometres apart, and they're funny enough, they're quite different Barraba's sort of the largest scale grazing area. Manila's a smaller farming area, and Ingra is a bit more diverse. So there's differences between the three, but on the whole, it's all slopes and plains grazing country.
Okay. Well, it's an interesting business you're in. I coach a co-op, and and I know that you've got a very active co-op in Tamworth. So it's interesting area you've chosen to compete in.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, we do compete with. We also got Inverell, Armidale, Tamworth. We've got all the major Gunnedah, Narrabri, Moree. So we sit in the middle of all those reasonably big towns, but we provide a service that's it's a little bit more individual, and as we've learned over the years that it all comes down to relationships. Basically, we've built strong relationships with a large clientele, and that's been the guts of our business.
So tell me, we've all been through the pandemic. Looks as though we're hopefully coming out the other side. What are some of the things that you implemented into the business during the pandemic that have stuck with you?
Yeah, well, business has changed so much over the years. I'll talk about the pandemic in a minute, but we've been in business 28 years now. So when we first started, we were still using the DOS systems on the computers, and it was all very basic. We were booking merchandise out manually, and then we go through the age where we sort of get a bit more technological. And when we get to the pandemic, well, it ramped right up. And I found the thing that came out of that for us was the Zoom meetings. That's something that we use every week now because we've got, 4 different locations. Our management meetings on Thursday mornings are all done on Zoom. So that's changed our life completely. We would never have thought of that before the pandemic, to be honest. It would have been something that we would have probably, we wouldn't have done, or we would have had to meet somewhere, and it took time out and petrol and all that sort of stuff. So, that's changed us. The way we treat our staff, certainly, we had to work through all that because, we run a family orientated business. So we've got a lot of our staff have children, like young children. And I think we've had, through the years, I think we've had 50 odd kids born, so we've done well. We've bred a lot of good, humans and Australians, and so it's been fun. And I always invited them. I had 6 kids myself, so the kids always been part of the business. So, when the pandemic came along, they sort of, obviously people retreated back to their houses, and we ran up, to some extent, especially the ones with kids. We were deemed an essential business, so we were open. But a lot of the girls in my office, there's about 7 of them work in my office, and they were working from home. That was successful. They still do a little bit of that, but mainly it's probably 90% back to the office. But we've learned how to be very, very empathetic with all that sort of family orientated stuff. We've also learned to cope with, the flu, not just, COVID-19. We've learned to cope with the flu and, any sort of thing that comes through the office now. We've got a protocol. We say, right, if you're not well, don't come here. And it's actually our sick days have been so much better. Before that, everyone came to work sick because they thought they had to, and basically the whole office got influenza, and then wiped us out for a few weeks. And so we're better at managing that, and I think it's just we've learned a lot in a short period of time with all that.
No, it's amazing the effect it's had on all of us. So tell me, let's talk about the future. What's it look like, and what do you see as the main challenges going forward?
Well, we're always going to have the challenge of the weather, and I'm not going to dwell on that. But the problem with the weather is that no one can really predict it well enough, for us to make any really strong decisions around it. So we're seeing a position now where we've got had a dry winter. We're looking at a dry spring because that's what they're telling us. There's no real evidence. They haven't even locked in the El Nino. So our challenges going forward are always going to be weather. So I won't harp on that, but it's got a lot to do with our business. It's a very seasonal business, grazing and trading and breeding livestock. So that's definitely something we're always on top of, but, we really can't make a lot of strong decisions around it because they quite often get it. They haven't got enough information for them to get it right. So that's always a challenge. We're also part of the beef world. So, Australia's is, it's a big part of the world beef market. So we export 70% of our product. So we are forever involved in what's going on in the rest of the world. So even though things could be great here, they mightn't be much good in China, Korea, Japan, America. So therefore, we've got a market. So at the moment, we've got a downturn market, a dry season, and it's looking pretty nasty. So, those challenges from where we were this time last year, Jonathan, you would not even write your worst nightmare to where it's got to. So, we're back to about 30% of our cattle price on this time last year, and no season. So it's a big turnaround for our clients. Our clients react to that. So we're forever dealing with reacting clients or helping them make decisions, So, if it's getting dry, we make decisions around selling cattle, around breeding cattle. We've got to make a lot of decisions. And I quite often sit in and I focus on my larger clients and sitting down with them regularly and making a business plan for them going into these more challenging times. And same happens when things get, last 3 years where there's been more rain and a rising market. Well, same thing. We built their herds. We built them in the right direction. We got involved in supply chains. So we're very strong about, being involved with our clients on a regular basis, helping them make decisions, but it's always going to be a challenge. And going forward, we'll continue to do that. And we're not going to change where we focus our business too much because essentially we're right at the pointy end of luxury beef. We breed a lot of Wagyu Angus cross cattle. And this has been very successful. At the moment, you would question that because it's luxury beef and that's hard to sell at present. But we'll keep focusing on that. Down the track, we'll probably even get further down the pipeline. So at this moment, we're breeders. We'll probably become feedlotters, and we might even start to get involved in selling, in a joint venture into selling some of the meat products that we're producing because they're such high quality. We're breeding. We're DNA testing females. We're buying the best bulls we can buy. We're really producing the top article. And that's part of what our business does. We're trying to really produce a top quality article, and that's moving forward. We'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to sound like an expert, which I'm certainly not, but I was fascinated with your comment about agronomy and the emphasis, the importance of an agronomist. And people who don't know what an agronomist is, helps with soil quality, it helps with pasture quality, helps with advising farmers on what to plant where and how to improve yields and all of that. But with my co-op client, it's that is one of the key lead relationships drivers, I suppose, for their clients is having that agronomy service. So it all comes back to having the relation. Even though you're out in inverted commas the boondocks, the relationships with your clients is always important.
Yeah, really important. And that's where we basically, I learned that from watching other bigger businesses. We've got a really good clientele. We established that clientele as a cattle agent and as a property agent. But then we thought, we can do more for these guys. So then we bought, we've got 4 air seeders. So we actually grow crops for them. And that all came from just trying to make it more productive. So instead of growing our clientele, I made a decision to grow our clients. So the clients that were going to be part of our operation and be strong relationships to us, we've grown them significantly. So we farm their crops. We advise them with agronomy. We help production. So when I drive on a farm now, I don't just talk to them about what the cattle are worth. I talk to them, what are you doing with that paddock there? We can farm that. We can put, there's a lot of new varieties of pasture. With this net zero thing coming up, which is another thing that we're looking at for the future, there's more conducive pastures to net zero. So some of the new pastures actually have got less emissions, more carbon growing ability. So we're all part of that process. And because we've got the machines, because we're the agronomists, we're just part of the whole process, So that for me is the enjoyable side of the business, is seeing a client do really well and engaging in best practice. And that's what we really like to be involved in.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was talking to a client yesterday, how to grow your business. Really 3 key ways. One is you deepen your relationship with your current clients. Obviously, that's where you've got. Grow new clients. And thirdly is grow the product suite that you sell into your current clients.
Yeah.
You're right on it.
Yeah, and that's what we've done. The when you live in a small country town, the clients are not just your clients; they're your friends, and they're the people you go and watch. You've played rugby with them. You play golf if you get a chance to play a bit of golf, or we travel away to look at our cattle in feedlots, and it's very much a community based operation where we basically as you'd understand, we sponsor everything, we're involved in everything, our names on everything, so you become part of the community. All these little towns, you become part of the community. And we're big employers in these towns, so we're pretty important to the whole social fabric, really. Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. So, tell me, what do you reckon has been your biggest learning since you've become a business owner?
I think myself over the years, I've learnt to be really macro about manage. I give my staff a lot of responsibility. I find that if I get micro with my staff, and nitpicky and penny pinching, all that sort of stuff, it takes the emphasis off where we want to be. So I've learned to be, a bit more macro about it and say, well, I want you guys to learn. I want you guys to run this business. I want you to, and so and that's my style of doing it. So I work hard. I lead by example, and I don't get caught up in the little bits and pieces. I mean, I've got people that can check on that stuff, but I don't. If someone, I love people make mistakes because I always say to them, don't worry about the mistake because you've learned something. You'll do it better next time, and it's become a really major part. I still make mistakes, and I think you got to do that. Obviously the building the relationship's been something I've learned along the way. And of course, the most important thing, the whole lot, is cash flow. I mean, you can have the most wonderful business, but if you haven't got people paying their bills in a timely manner, and you make bad decisions around that, it doesn't matter how good you are at this or how good your relationships are, you can't run a business without cash in the system. So it's something that I can't emphasize to anyone more that's getting involved in the private business. Cash is king. That, and it sounds generic, but it's the truest thing ever. Like, you can't do it without cash.
Absolutely. Tell me, when you think about the word successful, who comes to mind and why?
I probably read the most books about Richard Branson, and the reason I liked him was because he did it, and I've learned so much from that. That's why I've leveraged my clientele. That's why I've grown, because he essentially started Virgin because British Airways were, it's a bit like Qantas, priced themselves out. Yep. So he goes and he established a clientele by doing that. And as soon as he did that, he realised, okay, I can sell them all sorts of stuff now. I can sell them insurance, money, cruises. So I think he's the most interesting person, and he's a big thinker, and I love that big thinking. Why don't we try this? Why don't we do that? That's how I got into contract farming. So, people are having trouble getting their crops in. Well, let's fix that. Let's get a machine and help them. Let's get 2 machines. Now we've got 4. So that's just got to think out. I just think big think and being great with your staff, like forming that culture. And I probably didn't mention before. Like, we have a quarterly staff meeting. All our staff get together. We meet at 6 o'clock. We, in the winter, we've got a big fire pit going. We all drink beers, and I talk to everyone for about 10 minutes and say, this is our wins for the quarter. This is what next quarter looks like. Love you guys. Let's have a beer together. We have a great time. So I sort of love that format. And every week I see all my staff. So I go to Gunnedah Cattle, I'll come back to Manila, see my staff there at the both places, go and shake their hands. How was your weekend? What went on? Really important for me, even though I'm flat out busy with clients. Most important thing is, like, I get to pat all the staff on the back, whether it's good or bad, just say good day, how are you? How's things at home? Good. See you later. Yeah. So that's important to me.
Excellent. Thank you. So you said you're a reader. You've mentioned Richard Branson's books. What are the books, podcasts, blogs, do you follow that you'd recommend?
I go from that business stuff straight to sport, really. I listen to a fair bit of sport stuff. I'm a mad cricket fan. I went to the Ashes the other day. I went over there for a week or so. So a lot of cricket stuff. A lot of Steve. I was a big Steve Waugh fan. I loved his tenacity and his strength of character and his teammanship, So I used to read a lot of Steve stuff, obviously, through the years. But And podcasts, yeah, look, I'm all over the place with the podcast, to be honest with you. You know, I love anyone that talks about client relationship or any relationship sort of stuff. Really important to me to understand people. And that's what I do. You know, really, look, I'm selling properties and, you know, I deal from people that I sold a place last year for 120 million, you know, dealing with blokes that are worth $1 billion, you know, a lot of money. Be able to deal with those blokes, but then turn around the next day and get in the car and show a place that's worth 200 grand and deal with that person, you know. So just, yeah, I love relationship style podcasts and readings and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
You said you got kids. How old are your kids?
18 to 28.
Oh, okay. So they're a bit old for this one. I was driving down the coast this morning and listening to a new podcast I've discovered called How Other Dads Dad. And it's fabulous, but your guys are a bit older than that.
And my guys have, I've got 5 of them in the workforce, and I'm 2 weeks off having the 6th one left school. So, no, they're great. They're good kids. Have a lot of fun with them. You know, one of my biggest achievements is the fact that the kids are, they've got good friends. They've got good jobs, and they're going well. So, I could put everything aside and really put that down as a really big achievement for me to have my kids in such a good spot. Yeah,
that'd be great. Says me with 2 9-year-olds, so I've still got a long way on the journey.
It's lots of fun.
Well, and your point about sponsoring and traveling. I've got my daughter, the under 10s netball grand final this weekend, and then Saturday we're going to the Canberra Sevens. Sunday we're going to the Canberra Sevens for my son to play. So
yeah, it's all fun. We've done all that, which has been good.
Yeah. So last question: any last piece of advice or parting words to an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur out there?
Well, I can say to people is, give it a go, because really, I mean, being in business for yourself, I think it's a wonderful thing. I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people don't ever want to do it, but if you're even thinking about it, my advice is do it, because it just changes your life, because you've got something that's yours, you can grow, and if you're passionate about it, it's not like work. I mean, I go to work with a smile on my face. Things are pretty horrible at the moment, but I can still go to work with a smile on my face. I really enjoy what I do. I don't want to change it. I'm 50, nearly 57. I'm certainly looking forward to the future. I've got a couple of sons that have stayed in the livestock business. They're not working for me yet, but in future they could do. So my suggestion is get into it, give it a go. Build relationships, get a business coach. Talk to someone. Your role in people's lives and business is really important. If you're a high level sportsman, you've got a coach.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense to me. I've got a bloke that I use, and he comes and talks to our management team every, I think it was quarterly, and then we have a yearly catch up sort of thing, but really important, because it just it puts in place a lot of responsibilities, and you've got business plans and you've got things happening, and it's really important in my situation that my staff understand where we want to be, and I've got a 7-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 1-year plan, and it just makes it very easy if everyone's on the same page. And I really suggest that and apart from starting business, when you get into business, use the sort of capability that you've got to help people, because you don't know it all. There's no chance that you know it all. So it's handy to get someone to give you a second opinion or guide you down the right track. So that's what I think.
So I totally agree with you. But I joke as a 63-year-old, been a CEO 5 times, I've made every mistake in the book. So you might as well learn from me.
Yeah.
Charlie, thank you so much.
Pleasure, Jonathan.
I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
And there's some fabulous gems in there for the audience to latch onto.
Yeah. Troubles. Well, anyone, I'm happy for anyone to contact me or whatever, just, say good day or whatever, or if they're thinking about anything. And, obviously I'll look forward to keeping in touch.
Right. So, and I'll put your contact details into the show notes on the podcast.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Jonathan. See you. Bye.
If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, or wherever you watch/listen. Please share this episode with others who may be interested in this topic. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, please send an email to admin@scaleupgrowth.co. Put "Be a guest" in the subject line and tell me a little about yourself. If you want to gauge where your business growth potential is and identify where the biggest opportunities in your business lie, or where the key needs that you need to concentrate on right now are, take our assessment where you will receive personalised advice for improvement. It's quick and free. Go to scaleupgrowth.scoreapp.com. If you would like to work with me one-to-one, I love coaching and get the best outcomes that way. Send me an email to jonathan@scaleupgrowth.co and put one-to-one in the heading. Tell me a bit about your business and let's see how we can apply a great strategy for your business. So that's it for this week. Tune in next time for more great learnings from a scaling entrepreneur.